here is Donald Trump. He is in Wisconsin. Wisconsin reportedly has purged their rolls of hundreds of thousands of voters. Certainly know in the run-up to the 2016 election, they had practiced a finely tuned form of voter suppression. They have a strict voter ID, which targets African Americans and students, at least at the top of the list. Donald Trump is there campaigning for Scott Walker, who is in big trouble. He predicted at the beginning of this year he would be in big trouble. Hopefully he loses badly. But Donald Trump here lays out what Republicans, and we're going to play other clips from people who are pundits to people who are candidates. And Donald Trump here is just laying the groundwork. You will hear this is obviously the message that Republicans are running on, which is be afraid of brown people and let me come up with multiple different ways of trying to express it. So if you're not afraid of brown people because of this small anecdote, you're going to be afraid of brown people for that anecdote. And then, of course, Trump adds his own sort of, I want to say hyperbole, but it's really just complete lying in presenting this case.
It's tough stuff. And you know, where I grew up, near Long Island, we have like these great communities, and they were infiltrated with MS-13. And we got them, he says, get them the hell out. We are, actually. We actually are. We are getting them out of this country by the thousands, if you can believe it. But you know, it's like liberating. Like a war, like there's a foreign invasion and they occupy your country and then you get them out through whatever and they call it liberation. You're liberated. ICE goes in and they're much tougher, much stronger, and much smarter. They go in and they, in a relatively nice way, I want to say that, relatively nice, they get them out. They put them in the paddy wagons and they get them out of the country. They bring them back home. Or worse.
Pause it. Or worse. Or worse. The percentage of members of MS-13 that ICE has arrested in the 2 years of the Trump administration, we don't know exactly because I don't know if they released these type of data. But it can't be anything just by sheer numbers unless there were hundreds of thousands of members of MS-13 in this country. It can't be more than a couple of percentage points. ICE is far more adept under the Trump administration of rounding up and deporting moms and dads, of middle-class families, people who have been here for an extended period of time. I mean, this is all obviously a lie, but that is just, you got to start, like, you know, you got to think about this as like steps, right? You can't get to the top step in terms of like incredible lies unless you go through these subsidiary steps. And now he's taking us to stuff that, like, honestly, the idea that grown people, I understand motivated reasoning, but the idea that grown people don't get up and walk out and go like, this is just too much. What if somebody sees me here at this point after this lie is, blows my mind.
Or worse. And these towns are being liberated and the people are clapping. They're looking, I'm telling you, it's like watching World War II movies. It's like watching documentaries on World War I and World War II, the occupations. They get them, they take them out, and the people are on their windows, they're clapping and screaming, and they're happy. This is ICE. And the Democrats want to terminate ICE. They want to get rid of them.
Pause it. Is there anybody in the audience who's just going like, well, maybe he's exaggerating a little. Maybe there aren't people.
Wouldn't we be the people that would have seen that footage?
But you know what I think partially what's going on, though, and this doesn't in any way undermine your point, is the I forget who first came up with the phrase, but taking Trump seriously but not literally. And I think there's a lot of like for all intents and purposes, if you're this xenophobic and bigoted in your voting, it might as well be, right?
Right.
Like MS-13
Well,
is the
of course
same
they
thing.
can't do that in their
It's
windows
not-
because there's too much PC-ness. But
Right.
inside, they close the drapes and then they're cheering out their windows.
So I think he's actually, so in a funny way, I think he's actually saying, like, they're basically saying, like, it's all the same to me, and here's like a touch of ridiculous nonsense conspiracy theories.
You know, it's the exact same sort of lie, but just flipped, as he said when he said Muslims were celebrating 9/11.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's exactly
inside they were. Inside
it.
themselves.
Literally, I think that's exactly what's going on.
They want to get rid of them. So if you want to uphold our laws, our borders, and our way of life, you need to vote for Scott Walker and Leah Vukmar. Leah Vukmar.
Jesus.
He's so funny.
I'm so impressed that I got her name right. Vukmar. That is, you know why he said that, right? Because phonetically, that's the way it's spelled out on his teleprompter.
Vitmar. How is he not
crazy.
like? How is he not like a professional Liberace impersonator?
It's crazy.
Like, how is this not like? What?
He kind of is.
He is basically I'm a really racist professional Liberace impersonator.
With the maturity of a teenager.
Less than.